on the broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Under promise, over deliver. We promise you 2 hours a day, but we're actually going to be bringing you 3 today. Fantasy Football in Focus is what this is called. It's a special segment that we brought to you for many, many years on Wake Up Call. Has had a few different names, but Fantasy Football in Focus is what we call it now. The Fantasy Football Power Hour is what it was before. The NFL Week 12, 2023-24 season is what we're covering, and I'd like to wish you all a very happy Thanksgiving. So, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York, and make sure you head out to the Wildcat, to that location every single day of the week. You can also go there for takeout and delivery. All you got to do is call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat. That's 315-487-2222. So make sure you give them a call today. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you their way, or you could simply just say, DT sent me your way, and they'll know what that means. So make sure that you get in touch, let them know that Wake Up Call with the awesome people at the Wildcat Sports Pub. I appreciate Danny Tome and his team more than I can say. So a lot of great stuff. We've been working together. This is year number 8 for us, and such a wonderful honor and a privilege to be able to do that. So definitely appreciating it and enjoying every single moment of the stories that we get to tell and the fun that we get to have with our West Genesee shows that we do on site exclusively at the Wildcat, as well as everything we do with fantasy football. So much love to Danny Tome and the team, Andrea and everybody over there, Heather, Ella, Joey, Johnny, Nikki, and so on and so forth. So big time shout out to all of you and much appreciation. So with that being said, we are here inside of Fantasy Football in Focus, like I said, for NFL Week 12. So we are going to get into what I call the Turkey Day Trio, which is the trio of Thanksgiving games. We know the Cowboys play every Thanksgiving, and we know the Lions play every Thanksgiving, and the NFL a few years back instituted the Rotator game, and the Rotator game gives an opportunity for us to see different teams than just the Cowboys and the Lions every single year. And I think that this should be a matchup. I feel like the Turkey Day Trio, I feel like it should be rivalry games. Because what gets you more excited, right? It's Thanksgiving, you're with your family. There's families that have, rivalry teams that they like within the family. And so, I just feel like that makes it more fun. It makes it more exciting to have rivalry games. So those in-division games. And this year we get those. And I think the NFL, there's been years where we haven't had it. I think the NFL needs to institute, if it's a game on Thanksgiving, it has to be a rivalry game. So we have to keep it in division or have it be like a big-time rivalry matchup. And this year we're going to get Green Bay at Detroit, which is the NFC North rivalry. And then you have Washington at Dallas, which is that NFC East fight. And then you have San Francisco at Seattle, which is your NFC West. So I think that that's the right way to go. I hope that this is what they do for the future, is keep it on that, because I don't like seeing, the Cowboys play the Raiders on Thanksgiving. That doesn't hold any value to me, or Detroit playing Baltimore or something like that. It's no disrespect to those cities. I'm just saying, with Detroit being on Thanksgiving and the Cowboys being on Thanksgiving, I want to see them play teams that, are either in division or like Niners Cowboys, where there's history. I don't want to just see some whatever game, see the Cowboys play the Seahawks and you're like, okay, that's great. I mean, the only thing I remember about that is Tony Romo fumbling the snap. And I know that because the Cowboys are my second favorite team and my buddy Micah's first favorite team, Seattle, and we watched that game together, and he was very excited and I was very not excited at the end of that game. So that's why I remember moments like that. And so, I would definitely, I just feel like you got to keep it to the rivalries, keep it fun in that respect, and, get those good games out there. So we got a bunch of good ones that are going to be coming up this Thanksgiving, and I want to wish everybody a very early and happy Thanksgiving, and it comes from my heart. I wish y'all a Thanksgiving to remember, and for the best of reasons and the most wonderful of ways. We're going to be off the air on Thanksgiving because I'm going to be doing what you should be doing, which is enjoying Turkey Day with your family, with your loved ones. Maybe you're enjoying it by yourself. Maybe you gave yourself a little vacation. You're going away on vacation, going on a cruise, whatever it may be. I want you to enjoy the holiday. And what I've done for so many years is I've broadcasted on holidays. I'm like, oh, I'll do Christmas Eve, I'll do Christmas, I'll do Thanksgiving. And I said, you know what? No, like, I'm going to take the holidays off like other people take the holidays off. I have every right to take the holiday off, especially with the fact that I don't just work 9 to 5. Sometimes I work 12 to, sometimes by the time I wake, so there are days where I work from 8 a.m. to 3 a.m. And, you know, sports is 12 to 12. It never truly goes away. You just go to sleep and then you wake up, and sometimes things have happened by the time that you wake up. That's the sports world, and that's the entertainment world that I live in, and I love it. And so, you know, with that being said, as we get ready for everything that's coming up, you know, for Thanksgiving, I hope that you're taking some time off. I hope you're spending some time with your family and that you're relaxing and truly just, you know, taking it all in, because you should. We should all take a break, and we should all give ourselves some time to just be and to settle and to relax, and settle in the sense of like sit down, take a break, you know, watch a movie with your family, see how everybody's doing, appreciate your time. So make sure that you do that as much as you can. Make sure you take time for yourself every day, and definitely on the holidays, make sure you're relaxing. I mean, if you want to listen to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we're going to have plenty of shows that are up on our archives. You're not going to have anything that, you're not going to have any shortage of Wake Up Call. So if you do want to listen, if you're around your family and you say, hey, I want to, you know, show you this show of this guy that I listen to, or I'd love for you to, you know, hear this thing, I think it's really cool, go to Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, YouTube. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, and subscribe, follow, like, do all the things you got to do to connect your device to my show, to Wake Up Call. It's all free, and you'll be able to download us. It'll get updates. If you subscribe or you follow us on any one of these channels, I believe that they'll let you know when a new thing comes, when a new show comes, when something else drops, and it updates itself. So, and then a bunch of these apps are really cool, because not only do they update themselves, but they'll keep you where you were. So if you were listening to an episode and I've loaded 13 new episodes, it'll still like ask you, do you want to finish this episode of Wake Up Call before you go and, you know, listen to anything else. So make sure you download those now, share them with your family over the Thanksgiving table, and let them hear and see what the difference is of Wake Up Call. I appreciate that so very much. So with that being stated, we are around the country and the world on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /Wake Up Call DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. It's time to get into our NFL games, and as you know, I do the games in order of top of the screen to the bottom. So if you ever want to know where we're at, all you have to do is listen to what game I'm talking about and then just see where that is in the grand scheme of things. So very excited to start things off with the Turkey Day Trio, is what I like to call them. Green Bay at Detroit. We're going to start with Green Bay first. So, you know, I'm not a huge fan of Green Bay. Green Bay has every single one of their running backs injured except for Patrick Taylor, who's from Memphis. And I talked to you about Memphis running backs that make it in the NFL. Patrick Taylor is yet another one of them that has made it over these past few years. When you look at the Mike Norvell years, and before that, Justin Fuente, and both did a tremendous job at Memphis. And so Patrick Taylor may be playing in this game. A.J. Dillon is questionable with a groin injury. Groin and hamstring are those injuries I always tell you, especially with running backs and wide receivers, to be wary of, and God willing, they'll be okay. An MCL injury to Aaron Jones, who didn't practice. He's doubtful. So, and then Emmanuel Wilson, who's also on the team, didn't practice with a shoulder injury earlier on this week. He's questionable. So Patrick Taylor's probably going to start, and if you want to grab somebody in free agency and throw him out there and hope for the best, because he's going to have to be the number one guy, arguably, well, then that's something to look at. But I'd probably leave the running back core off. I'd leave Jordan Love off. If you want to get Christian Watson as a wide receiver 3 or 4, that's okay. Luke Musgrave's done a good job, but he has an abdomen injury, so Tucker Kraft might be playing. Like the running backs, the Green Bay tight end room is very depleted. 3 of 5 are on the injury report right now. Tyler Davis, Josiah DeGuara, and Luke Musgrave. So that means Tucker Kraft maybe getting out there for you, potentially a Ben Sims. So we'll have to see if Luke Musgrave can't go, which hopefully he can because he's been doing a pretty good job. Christian Watson's the only one I would tell you on that side. On the other side, I look to Jared Goff in this game. I have Jared Goff as a low-end 1, high-end 2 in this matchup. You never know what's going to happen, in these rivalry games. That's really the issue because you say, well, Dan, Detroit's in such a good position, right? They're 8-2 overall. Jared Goff's been doing a really good job. Like, what makes you think that it could not go his way? I think Detroit's going to win this handily, but rivalry games are just sometimes are different. Sometimes they're just that, like, in the trenches, just beating each other up for 4 quarters like crazy and then trying to get through. But, I mean, I still have Jared Goff as a playable guy, especially this week. I think Jared Goff is, I'm going to say, I said low range 1, high end 2. I'm going to adjust it mid range 1. There's a bunch of quarterbacks I would play over him, but it's a favorable matchup based on how Green Bay's been playing. David Montgomery's worth the play. Jahmyr Gibbs is worth the play. I'm on Ross St. Brown. And I really like Sam Laporta, so I would put them all out there for you, for sure, even though Sam Laporta's production's gone a little up and down. Next matchup that we have on the Turkey Day Trio, Washington. And if you have a question, send it in to any one of our channels. If you're on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, send us a question. If you're on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, send it over there. Or if you're on Podbean on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, our live chat room allows you to send me questions in there as well because we've gotten them. And in these past weeks, we've gotten questions on all of our channels or comments. So thank you for all of that. I appreciate it. And I appreciate you for spreading the love amongst our YouTube, Facebook, and Podbean live channels and asking questions on all of those. So with that being said, Washington at Dallas. Washington is just a giant, it's just a giant problem. I mean, Terry McLaurin, he to me is, I mean, he's the good stuff, right? He to me is the one that if you're going to play anybody from Washington, you're going to play Terry McLaurin. In my opinion, that's the guy that you put out there. I said that if Washington somehow found a way to lose to the Giants twice in the same season, I don't see a way where Ron Rivera stays with the team. I also see a lot of changes happening. I don't wish anything bad on anybody. I never wish for anybody to lose their job. I do not see this as continuing on with Ron Rivera, which is sad because I really like Ron Rivera at Carolina and he was coach of the year and he was up for it again after that. So I don't know. This could be an overall Washington problem, right? Their ownership, their investigation, the changing of their name, the 2 years at least that it took to change the name. And now they don't know if they want to stay the Commanders. And I mean, there's all these things going on in Washington that just seem to be beyond the X's and O's. And that can affect the culture and it can affect things that are going on. And leadership is really important. So, we know that from Syracuse in our conversation just a little bit ago. So Ron Rivera's got to coach the X's and O's, right? And that's not working out. But there's a lot of things not working out in Washington. And sometimes we blame the coach where it could be the GM, could be the owner, could be the president, could be a little bit of everything. So all I'm saying is Ron Rivera, I don't see a world where he continues to coach there, but I think Washington may have a problem far beyond Ron Rivera. Terry McLaurin, go ahead and I would say, against the Giants, even though they lost 31-19, in that matchup, I mean, Sam Howell's 31-45, 3 interceptions in the game. It was just so ugly. Brian Robinson Jr. Derek Gore got some action for the Washington Commanders. I mentioned Derek Gore because he's from Syracuse, New York. And he went to Louisiana Monroe. Why? Because Syracuse apparently didn't want him either. So he went to the University of Louisiana Monroe. I think he also found some time in the SEC. But yeah, Derek Gore from Syracuse and has found his way to keep it rocking and rolling here. And I might be thinking of another player too as well that spent a little bit more time. But shout out to Derek Gore for getting out there from Syracuse, New York, and furthering my narrative that Syracuse and Central and Upstate New York have talent. He's in the NFL. He got a couple carries, 2 carries for 23 yards. There's some people that don't get 23 yards on 9 carries. So, look at that. And so 11.5 yards a carry. Logan Thomas led the way in receiving. Brian Robinson Jr. keeps getting used in the backfield, and in the passing attack. So I would play Brian Robinson Jr. in this game. I have him as a running back 2. And then Terry McLaurin, I would say he's still a 1 for me, maybe a lower end 1. But Terry McLaurin and Brian Robinson are the 2 I like the most. And then Jahan Dotson, I don't think he's bad to flex out. I just don't have full... It can either work out or it could like really badly not work out. And so Jahan Dotson for me is one of those guys where it's like I like him, but I really, again, Washington has a lot of problems, and I think Jahan Dotson, hopefully with some things getting fixed in the not too distant future, will have more opening there. And if he doesn't, then I hope he goes somewhere where he's appreciated more. So Logan Thomas, as long as he's healthy, he's not a bad mid-range tight end 1 to put out there for you. And I think the most of the values with Brian Robinson Jr. and Terry McLaurin. Jahan Dotson, I don't dislike. I mean, he will get you some PPR stuff. He'll catch some balls. He'll get you some yards. But is he necessarily going to be your home run hitter? No. But this is Dallas, and Dallas has had some bad games against teams that they should take it to. Now, what I anticipate is that Dallas should be able to continue to boost up their fantasy statistics in this. I do. It's the Dallas Cowboys. Same thing I said about Detroit. It's a rivalry game, and it's on Thanksgiving. And as well as Dallas should play, they've had some moments this year that really make me scratch my head. But I think you should play Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard, Brandon Cooks, I have as a wide receiver 3. CeeDee Lamb, I still have as a 1. Jake Ferguson, mid-range to low-range tight end 1. So there's value on both sides for these teams. And I definitely think that Dallas will get the win, and I think Detroit will get the win. But again, those rivalry games always make me a little bit nervous. San Francisco at Seattle. Let's do our third game, of the Turkey Day trio. We have a West Coast game, which is, perfectly set up for this because it's the nighttime game. It's the end of the trio here, so it makes sense to have it on the West Coast because the game is going to be played at 8:20 p.m. Eastern time, which means it's going to be played right around normal dinner time, 5:20 on NBC on the West Coast. And I say normal dinner time because we all eat very early. I shouldn't say we all eat very early. My family eats extremely early on Thanksgiving. We eat so very, we eat at, we're going to be eating at 2 o'clock this year, but we've eaten at 1 o'clock, and I'm just like, But it gives you the opportunity to eat turkey all day, so that's fun. San Francisco, Brock Purdy in this matchup against Seattle, and it's at Seattle. Brock Purdy has shown Jacksonville's got a high-quality defense, and Purdy just Swiss cheese that thing. So I got Brock Purdy as a QB1. Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, and George Kittle are all worth the play, in my opinion. On the other side, we got injuries. We have an elbow injury to Geno Smith. We have an oblique injury to Kenneth Walker III. So Zach Charbonnet might be the guy you put in a deep league, running back 2, in another league, a running back 3. Watch Kenneth Walker. If he's able to go, put him out there. But Zach Charbonnet has a bunch of value this week because of Kenneth Walker not being 100%, which hopefully gets better. DK Metcalf, he has a toe injury. Watch that. Tyler Lockett gets more value. And Jackson Smith and Jigba is a good waiver wire and or free agent pickup to put as a wide receiver 3 or 4 for you this week. But they are playing Seattle, so just temper your expectations. I think they are playing San Francisco, so temper your expectations. Seattle's got that 12th man strong at home. San Francisco has that really good defense. So I think there's value on both sides of this thing. I think you're going to get something from both sides of this. I'm going to lean more heavily on San Fran, but I definitely see fantasy value in both. I just think San Francisco's going to get this victory. Next game that we have up here is a Friday game. It's the first Black Friday game, and I don't know why I thought last year that the Jets played on Black Friday last year, but Friday, November 24th, the Jets will play host to the Dolphins, another divisional game, which, again, I think is crucial around the holidays to not just have a game, but to have big-time implication games. And in the NFL, you could have a terrible overall record, but as long as you win your division, you get into the playoffs. So these games have a ton of value inside of the NFL because they take divisional champions. The Jets are 4-6. The Dolphins are 7-3. So we're living in a place right now where the Jets, if they get a victory, can get closer to the Bills, who are 6-5. But the Dolphins seem to be running away with this. I said that the Bills would win this division at the beginning of the season, was my prediction before they played it down. But I also said, I will not be surprised if the Miami Dolphins win the division. If they have a healthy Tua, I believe the Dolphins are capable of winning the division. I said that. And the Dolphins have had a healthy Tua, thank the good Lord, and they have been winning their division. It also helps that the Buffalo Bills have just been underperforming once again. You know, it's like these last 3-4 years, people thought Super Bowl, definitely the last couple of years, and still people thinking this year, but the Buffalo Bills have been a very underwhelming team and an underperforming team as far as what people's expectations have been. And Miami's running away with the division, as they should, because they have the talent to do so, and they're taking advantage of the fact that Buffalo's not really bucking them like they should be. Tua Tagovailoa, he is worth a start for you at quarterback in this matchup. Tyreek Hill is limited with a hand injury. If he's able to go, I would put him out there. Jalen Waddle, I would put him out there. And then they have 4 out of 5 running backs that are injured right now. A-Chain is questionable with a knee injury. Mostert has an ankle injury, and I believe he's questionable. Yes. And then Selvin Ahmed, he's on injured reserve with his foot. Christopher Brooks is on reserve too. So Jeff Wilson Jr. might be the week that you pick up this guy. You might already have him in a deep league that you put at the bottom of your bench. Jeff Wilson Jr. might be the guy to play in this matchup. Just pay attention to that. If Mostert or A-Chain is able to go, they're the playable one. But if not, Jeff Wilson Jr. is worth the play. But there's definitely value in Tua, Jalen, and if Tyreek Hill is able to go. On the other side of it, Tim Boyle is going to get the starting job. Zach Wilson is not only demoted to the backup, he was demoted to the backup of the backup. It was like the Jets really wanted to make it be known to him that we are done with you. Not only are you sitting, but we're going to put you third string. We're going to let you know that you're going from starter to third string. Not because of injury, but because we would rather play Tim Boyle or Trevor Siemian than you. And if they're going to drop him out of the starting position and drop him from being the backup, that's saying that their starter, they no longer want to come in, gosh forbid anything happens to Tim Boyle. So they have totally given up on Zach Wilson. And I think a lot of Jets fans are hooting and hollering about this. Again, I never pray or hope for anybody to lose their job, so I feel bad for Zach Wilson. I mean, the proof is in the pudding that they're going to have to move forward, and they tried to do that with Aaron Rodgers, but he got hurt. And, now Zach Wilson is done. So, to quote a song by Drake. I don't like anything happening with the Jets right now, but we do see that Breece Hall is getting utilized out of the backfield. Every quarterback has their guy, remember that. So Tim Boyle might get some of these names that you're not. Maybe he's got a better relationship with Tyler Conklin. Maybe he's got a relationship with Jeremy Ruckert. Maybe he's going to go to Israel Abanikanda from the Pitt Panthers. Maybe he's going to go to Xavier Gibson, who made the team and had that big-time return early on in the season. So we shall see. Garrett Wilson, and Tim Boyle is a different quarterback. So Garrett Wilson, I don't want to tell you to keep him off, but he's a question mark. I got him as a wide receiver 4 with the quarterback change. And then, outside, really, honestly, I feel like they go to the tight end and they go to the running back, especially if you're a backup quarterback trying to get your, feet comfortable in the game coming out for the first time this season. So I would say Breece Hall and Tyler Conklin are probably the safer bets. Conklin I have as a low-end tight end 1, and Breece Hall I have as an RB2. And could be an RB3 in the not as deep leagues that don't have as many owners. But Breece Hall, and people say, Dan, why do you have any Jets? Why would you even consider Breece Hall playable? Because they're going to him. And I would imagine that the backup quarterback now becoming a starter is going to look to Breece Hall as well. So, and he just led most recently the receiving corps as he caught 5 balls, which is more than anybody, targeted 6 times, which was second to Garrett Wilson's 8, and he had the most yards with 50, and he had a touchdown. So I would say that, and that touchdown came from Zach Wilson, I would say that Breece Hall is the safest bet if you have to play a Jet. But I'm hoping that you're not relying on the Jets to save your season. New Orleans at Atlanta. Let's say, this is rivalry week. So this is a matchup of the NFC South. Let's get into New Orleans at Atlanta. The New Orleans Saints are taking a look at this game. We're looking at Alvin Kamara is worth the play in this. Jameis Winston might actually get the start in this. Derek Carr has a concussion. God willing, he'll be okay and stay okay, not just now, but for his entire life. And so we definitely hope to see him back soon and send him all my love for sure. And all my love and well wishes to him and his family, and a happy Thanksgiving to Derek Carr, David Carr, and everybody. Famous Jameis might be getting out there. Taysom Hill, he's worth the play. Atlanta doesn't have a defense, so Taysom Hill is the true flex position guy. And then Alvin Kamara is worth the play in this as well. And I would say Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, you could look to putting him as a flex 3 or 4. Juwan Johnson's back at it. I like Juwan Johnson. It's hard because of the inconsistency of going to him and the fact that they have Taysom Hill. So, that's something to look at for sure. Definitely. And I would just say that, ultimately when I look at Juwan Johnson in some of the games that he's had, he's been wonderful. It's just consistency. Are they throwing him the ball consistently? He threw him the ball 3 times. Most recently, he caught one of them for 2 yards. Right? But Taysom Hill is going to be involved. He's going to be involved in the rushing game. He's going to be involved in the passing game. Chris Olave is still very much involved. A.T. Perry got involved recently as well. I covered A.T. Perry when he was at Wake Forest. So I would say in this one, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed as a wide receiver 3, Juwan Johnson as a tight end 2, Taysom Hill as your flex. And on the other side of it, for the Atlanta Falcons, they're back to Desmond Ridder. So apparently they just wanted Desmond to get a little clue here and get a little feel for it. I mean, Taylor Heineke also is questionable with a hamstring injury, so that's something that nags as well. But maybe this sitting down of Desmond Ridder lit a little fire under his tush, and he'll do better in this one. Bijan Robinson, definitely worth the play. Drake London, I have as a wide receiver 2. Kyle Pitts, I have him and Jonnu are just, going back and forth, and I just don't like that situation at all. I mean, Tyler Algier is talented, but Bijan is there. And Jonnu Smith is talented, but Kyle Pitts is there. And Kyle Pitts isn't the consistent guy that they go to, and Jonnu Smith has had more of those big play moments recently. So, Pitts is getting involved, but he also had Taylor Heineke throwing to him most recently. And Tyler Algier, I mean, he's getting carries, but he's getting 9 to Bijan's 22 most recently. So Algier I would have as a flex running back. Bijan I would have as a running back, low end 1, high end 2, this week's matchup. And then I would say Drake London is worth the play as a wide receiver 2, and Kyle Pitts is a low end 1, high end 2. We're waiting for him to blow up. He's in that middle ground of when is he going to look like the Kyle Pitts we thought he was going to be? And I'll tell you what, if the inconsistency continues and the underperformance continues due to, the hype versus what he does, and it's not fair because being a victim of your hype, a lot of times it has nothing to do with you, right? Like what you're saying and what you're doing. Sometimes it does. Some people are flashy, but the hype is so high for Kyle Pitts that if it doesn't translate this year, I think that his namesake does not continue to get him drafted and get him played. I think people finally say, okay, you know what? I drafted him and I put him out there every week because it's Kyle Pitts and I'm expecting him to be Kyle Pitts from Miami, but he's not, or from Florida, but he's not being Kyle Pitts, and eventually they're going to sit him. I think this is the year that he either shows it or people end up stop drafting him. Somebody will draft him and be like, oh, I got Kyle Pitts, and they'll look around the room like, why didn't anybody want him? But I think this is Kyle Pitts' show me season, and I don't see a lot right now. So I think it's Bijan, I think it's Drake, a little bit of Kyle Pitts in this matchup. The next one we have is going to be Pittsburgh at Cincinnati, another rivalry, the AFC north for all of you playing the home game here, trying to match your bingo card to what game is to what division. So the Pittsburgh Steelers fired Matt Canada, the offensive coordinator, which ironically, Matt Canada was the offensive coordinator at Pitt for the Panthers in college under Pat Narduzzi, just to throw that out there for you. Kenny Pickett, he has been up and down and around the corner, has he not? And that is not favorable at all, especially I mean, his market has just been all over the place, and Pittsburgh is in a place right now where they are 6-4. They have a winning record. The division is close. Baltimore's 8-3. Cleveland's 7-3. Pittsburgh 6-4, and Cincinnati's 5-5. Believe it or not, Cincinnati, what some people might have considered the hottest team with a healthy Joe Burrow and thinking that they were going to have a resurgence, is at the bottom of this division. And I would imagine without Joe Burrow, they're not going to make it to the playoffs. I would not prognosticate them going there. And Pitt still has a chance, right? And Kenny Pickett recently, 15-28, 106 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions against the Cleveland Browns in an awful game that was 13-10. The Kenny Pickett project is not working out right now. So Najee Harris has some value as a running back too. George Pickens, it depends on what Kenny Pickett does. So, it's hard to say, don't play Deontay Johnson, don't play George Pickens, but I would say Deontay and George are in the wide receiver, lower end 2, high end 3 world because of Kenny Pickett and the firing of the offensive coordinator and what is this team going to look like. So Najee Harris is probably the safest bet for you. On the other side of it, Joe Mixon is the safest bet. Jamar Chase, let's see if Jake Browning is going to toss him the ball. T. Higgins is still hurt with a hamstring injury. God willing, he'll be okay. Every quarterback has their guy, so maybe he goes to Tyler Boyd a little bit more, maybe Charlie Jones. We'll see. Tyler Boyd, I would put him as a flex, a wide receiver 3. Jamar Chase, I still have him as a 1. Joe Mixon, I still have as a 1 at running back. Next matchup that we're going to go to, Carolina at Tennessee. This is the first of every matchup I've given you for Week 12 of the 2023-24 season that is not a divisional matchup and is not on the same side. Carolina's in the NFC. Tennessee is in the AFC, and so this is a matchup of the NFC South with the AFC South, and we'll go to Carolina first. So Carolina has been struggling, and so has Tennessee. Tennessee looks like a shell of themselves. Carolina has been struggling for a while here. Chuba Hubbard, we look at, Adam Thielen's done some good stuff he's done some good stuff this season. Carolina's, they're not doing great. They have one win. They're 1-9, which is atrocious, and Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick, I wasn't sold on him, and I'm still not. I hope he gets things corrected, and I hope he gets better because I want to see everybody succeed and live their dreams and have a great time. Adam Thielen is getting targeted a ton and still leading the team. So I think Adam Thielen is a wide receiver 3 for you. Can help you out. Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders, they're splitting it. Neither one of them's doing fantastical, so I'd probably leave that alone unless you really need a running back 4. Like if you're playing 3 or 4 running backs, you really need somebody else, a Chuba or a Miles. Maybe you throw them out there, but I hope you don't have to. Adam Thielen as a wide receiver 3. Nobody's a 1, in my opinion, right now with Carolina. On the other side of it, we have Will Levis. Ryan Tannehill is back. And Malik Willis is healthy too. So who is going to be the guy? That's the question. So NFL Week 12 for the Titans, who is the quarterback? And, that's the question that we ask ourselves is, are we seeing the official passing of the torch? And is Ryan Tannehill going to take the clipboard and just kind of look at this thing and say, okay, we're going to ride with Will Levis and you're going to teach him now. So Tennessee, this could be a great game for Tennessee. We know that Will Levis had a good day against a not great team in his debut. So Will Levis could be helped by this, and his performance against the Jaguars was lackluster. So, we look at Will Levis up to this point, and so far, if we look at the game log here, he's played in 4 games. He had 238 yards against the Falcons, 65.5% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's the game I'm talking about where you're not playing somebody who has a truly good defense. And in Pittsburgh, in that game against Pittsburgh, he did not have a good day. No touchdowns, 1 interception, 56.4% completion percentage, 48.7% completion percentage against Tampa. No touchdowns, 1 interception. Against Jacksonville, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So Jacksonville's defense has not shown itself as much as I thought it would recently. Here, I thought, this team should be getting better, and the defense seems to have been allowing some things. Will Levis, and again, you look at garbage time with maybe some of these completions and things that are happening late in games. So you can't really fault the Jaguars for how that might look at the end of the game, because the Jacksonville Jaguars were leading and, comfortably. They won this game by 20 points and they were up 27-7 heading into the fourth quarter. So, that's something to look at as well, that Nick Folk gets a touchdown, so late in the game with 4:28 to go to make it 34-14. So, I mean, that's something to look at for sure. And I definitely, Tennessee to me is just in a place right now where it's just not good. It's not good at all. I mean, Derrick Henry's worth the play. Tajay Spears, if you got to go running back 4 right now, I mean, this Carolina-Tennessee game might be the game with the least fantasy value all week. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is getting some pub. He's getting some looks, some opportunities. Tajay's getting used in the backfield and in the receiving core. So, like I said, Tajay, you could put him out as a running back 4. DeAndre, you could put him out in a deep league as a 2. I would prefer that you could put him as a 3. Hopefully your wide receivers are deep enough. And then beyond that, Derrick Henry is worth the play, even though he didn't look phenomenal. I mean, against the Jaguars, who were good at stopping the run, what did they tell me? Roy Robertson Harris tell me a few weeks ago? Stop the run, go have fun. 10 carries, 38 yards, 3.8 yards a carry for Derrick Henry, which is atrocious. And you can thank the Jacksonville Jaguars for that right there. That was an awesome performance against the run. So, yeah, not a ton of fantasy value for either one of these squads. And I guess I would say Adam Thielen and Derrick Henry are the 2 names I would look at if I had to pick. Tampa Bay at Indianapolis, these are, again, another matchup of teams that are in the South but are on different sides. Tampa Bay in the NFC South, the Indianapolis Colts in the AFC South. And so we'll go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers first. Baker Mayfield is going into Indy. Now, mind you, Indy's done some good things at home. They've been a little bit of a threat at home. So just kind of understand. They might not win every game, but, they give you a little strike. I do like Baker Mayfield in this game. I have him as a mid-range quarterback 1. Rashad White, I like him as a running back 2. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, play them both. On the other side, and we got a question that came in. I just saw it, so we'll get to it in a second. On the other side, Jonathan Taylor against the Tampa Bay defense, I have him as a running back 2. Michael Pittman Jr., I have as a wide receiver, low-end 2, high-end 3. I think the value lies on the side of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think they're going to win this game. And I would really love to see Sean Tucker, Syracuse alum, and holds the record for most Syracuse rushing yards in a single season, above Joe Morris, Ernie Davis, Jim Brown, Floyd Little and company. I would love to see him get some play here, especially because it's 2 former Syracuse players going up against each other. On the defensive side for Indianapolis, you have linebacker Zaire Franklin, who's a captain, and on the other side for Tampa, if he gets out there, you have running back Sean Tucker. Freezy said to me, Diggs and Pittman for Adams, Gus, and Bijan. Okay, so let's take a look at this. For Adams, which Adams? Are we talking Devontae Adams, Freezy? Make sure you send that over to me so I can answer your question. So, other wide receivers are A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp. Other running backs are Swift, Walker, and A-Chain. Okay. So, Who's giving up what? Are you giving up Diggs and Pittman? That's my question for you. So, that's what I'd like to know. So, Freezy, who are you giving up? And Adams being Devontae Adams, make sure you just clarify that with me so I can give you the right thoughts on this. So I want to be able to answer your question as thoroughly as possible. So just make sure you send that over to us, Freezy. And while you're here, make sure you click subscribe and let us know where you hail from. Would love to have you here with us weekly, and would love for you to tell us all where you come from so we can give a little shout out to your home state or hometown, whatever you'd like. So Sean Tucker, hopefully he'll get out there against Zaire Franklin to go out there and have some fun with two former Syracuse players. And I just want to look at by statistically Tampa Bay right now running the ball. Rashad White, who I do like in this game, like I told you, 459 yards, 141 carries, 3.3 yards a carry, 4 rushing touchdowns. Sean Tucker has 8 games that he's played in, 15 carries, 23 yards, 1.5 yards a carry. Does not have a touchdown yet in the NFL. So hopefully he'll get something like that soon. That'd be a nice little Turkey Day gift, wouldn't it? So Freezy, make sure you shoot over the information so I can give you the response here. And happy to help you as always. We're going to go to one more game before we take a step aside. New England at the Giants. Wow. This is a Super Bowl rematch. But it's not, because the names are the same as far as the team names go. But my expectations of this game, I think the Giants are going to win. I do. So Tommy DeVito, shout out to Tommy DeVito. Speaking of Syracuse Orange alum, Tommy DeVito got his first victory in the NFL. How about that? So I love this situation for him. He gets his first victory in that where he's the starting quarterback outright. 18-26, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Washington just stinks. Well, and Washington got rid of their entire defensive line, so that's probably helping, because the Giants' offensive line is not something that I would necessarily want to be throwing behind. But when you have a team that gave up their entire defensive line in trading them away before the deadline, you got a little bit more cushion, I guess, there. So Tommy DeVito had himself a good day, had himself some fun, and got himself a victory. So shout out to Tommy DeVito for the play that he has. I know him. I know his family. So shout out to Tommy DeVito Jr., shout out to Tom DeVito Sr., and shout out to Lexi and the crew. And always sending you all my love. Tommy has been the quarterback of 3 games where he's been the starter. 15 of 20, 175, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions on November 5th at the Vegas Raiders in a loss. At the Cowboys in a loss, we saw that on November 12th, they lost 49-17, 14 of 27, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and against Washington in a win on the road. And all these games that Tommy's been a starter in, mind you, they've been on the road. This is going to be his first home game as the starting quarterback of the Giants, because he played in the game against the Jets, but he was only in there for 7 attempts. So that's a different world than what he's in now. So this is his first home game as a starter for the Giants. He won the last road one at Washington, 31-19, 18-26. Like I said, completion percentage 69.2, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he was still sacked 9 times. The man has been sacked 22 times over 4 games of having action, and in 3 games as a starter, he has been sacked 20 times. So, hey, Giants offensive line, why don't we do something here? I mean, we gotta protect this kid. Can't be leaving him out there like that to be eaten by wolves. And that also is a healthy reminder that you can't sit here and blame Tommy DeVito for all the Giants' blunders, which I haven't seen people do, but I hope that they don't. Here's a cool thing, though. Justin Pugh was on the offensive line for Syracuse when Ryan Nassib was the quarterback, and he left well before Tommy DeVito got there. Now Justin Pugh, Syracuse alum, is blocking for Tommy DeVito, Syracuse alum. So I think that's just kind of a cool story as well. My best to Tommy DeVito. I think they get the win in this matchup. But as far as fantasy football goes, so, I mean, that's my answer. Poof is my answer fantasy-wise. Hunter Henry, I guess, if you need a tight end and somebody's injured and whatever's going on, I guess you can go in that direction. But I don't like anything with the Patriots. And for the Giants, Saquon, put him out there as a running back, low end 1, high end 2 this week. I mean, fantasy value wise, this game is la 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 la. I mean, I'm just gonna make noises. There's really nothing. There's no words, so I have to sing songs and make noises. I have to just do sounds. Saquon. But I got the Giants winning the game. We're gonna take a step aside. Jacksonville's got to go up against a hot Houston team and a team that embarrassed them again for the 6th straight season at home in Jacksonville. We'll talk about that matchup right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thank you for those of you that have liked the show, shown support, and are watching and listening from all over the country and the world. I appreciate y'all so very much. And like I said, I send you all my respect very much so. So I hope you're having a fantastic day. We'll be back inside of Fantasy Football in Focus, NFL Week 12, 2023-24 season. Happy Thanksgiving. Proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. We will be back right after this fast break where sports meets life. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout delivery and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox.
If I had to describe it, I would like to say welcoming and kind of homey. Like, I feel home when I'm here.
Here's a special message from North Star Nutrition in North Syracuse and Nutrition Wave in Cicero on their very unique shakes and teas.
I always ask them, are you looking for a shake or a tea? Like, are you hungry or do you need a little bit of a pick-me-up? And then from there, I normally gear it towards whichever they prefer. So I say we offer full meal replacement shakes. They're 24 grams of protein, 21 vitamins and minerals. So the vitamins and minerals in that shake make it a full meal, and you'll stay full for about 4 or 5 hours. And if they want a tea, then I'll tell them that there's either 115 to 200 milligrams of caffeine. I would compare it to maybe 2 cups of coffee, and I explain all the benefits that are in the tea. Like, they have B vitamins to sustain your energy all day long. They have a tea for mental clarity and focus. They have a thermogenic tea to help boost your metabolism, burn calories. Aloe is great for nutrient absorption and digestion. And I say there's other flavors in it for the pretty colors and flavors. I always ask them, like, what's your favorite lollipop flavor? And then I'll go from there, and I'm like, well, believe it or not, there's less than a gram of sugar and it's good for you. The shakes, I say it's like your favorite candy bar or your favorite ice cream, because you've had them. It genuinely does not taste like a regular protein shake. This was the first yes that I've ever given, because I've always been like too shy or too scared to like talk to people or anything, and this just kind of really opened me up. I've stayed here so long because I just love seeing everybody's faces, having them like sit down at the bar and just telling us little tidbits about their life. You really have no idea what's going on in other people's life, and I feel like this job specifically really puts it into perspective and just kind of helps you enjoy other people's presence. As like a young adult and as a person, I have learned so much working here. Like, to me, it's way more than just shakes and teas.
For healthy drinks that taste amazing in a welcoming atmosphere, head to North Star Nutrition on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, and Nutrition Wave on 6197 State Route 31 in Cicero, open 7 days a week at each location. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I'm happy to be here with you every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Under promise, over deliver, as we have done here today once again, giving you bonus time on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And, of course, inside of Fantasy Football in Focus, giving you fantasy football thoughts for every single game in each week, and this week being NFL Week 12 in the 2023-24 season. An early happy Thanksgiving to you all. Proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. If you're in Central and Upstate New York, head off to the Wildcat on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. And they are open 7 days a week outside of course, holidays. And you can get in touch with them for takeout and delivery by calling 315-487-2222. That's 315-487-2222. And you're with us worldwide. You're here in Central and Upstate New York, the Midwest, the West Coast, up and down the East Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com are both /WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for being with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Outside of special moments like holidays, we will be off tomorrow for Thanksgiving. So giving you some bonus time today, because I'll miss you tomorrow. And then we'll be back at it with a special airing on Black Friday. So having some fun here with you, and we're going to continue on our conversation with fantasy football and the upcoming games. And if you have a question and you asked a question and you didn't send us some of the more information to that, make sure you do that so we can answer your question. So if you have a question about your fantasy team, happy to answer it. Just make sure that you send us the information. And this is the great thing about, having allergies the way that I do, is I have to have these wonderful lozenges that are in the studio. So Ross said, great show. Happy Thanksgiving. Dan the man, happy Thanksgiving to you, brother. Appreciate you always, and I hope you have a fantastic turkey day. And I miss you. I miss the kids, miss everybody. So give my best to Miss Lulu, to LJ, to Abby, to your family in general. Happy Thanksgiving. I send you all my love always. So I hope you're doing well, buddy. And Ross, one of the best sports journalists and broadcasters out there, and one of the best human beings I know above everything else. So much love to Ross and much appreciation and respect. Let's get into the rest of the fantasy football for Week 12. Jacksonville at Houston, back to the matchups that are inside of division. AFC South is where we are here. Jacksonville is 0-6 in the last 6 years of Houston coming to Jacksonville. So Houston has owned Jacksonville, Florida for 6 years. The hit on that even more, because I'm a Jaguars fan, the hit on that even more is that the streak started on my birthday on October 21st of 2018. So not only have they won for 6 years, but they started winning on my birthday in this streak. Houston did against Jacksonville. But I have all the respect in the world. Even though I'm a Jaguars fan and on the broadcast I'm impartial, and I'll tell you, CJ Stroud is so much fun to watch. He's incredible, and I don't shy away from competition. I look at CJ Stroud and say, Jacksonville just has to be better. He's going to push you to be better. Good. I don't want to be in a division where nobody's pushing you and you're not trying to grow or blossom or anything like that. So I'm hoping that things continue to develop in the AFC South and we make it fun, because why would you not want to see Houston play well? You should want to see everybody eat and then go out there and try and take down that competition. Houston is on a 3-game winning streak. They beat the Bucs at home, the Bengals on the road, and the Cardinals at home, and they've won 4 of their last 5. 4 of their last 5. 5 of their last 7 games they have won here. They lost at the Packers and at the Falcons, but they defeated the Jaguars. Was their first win of the season after losing at the Ravens and home against the Colts. They beat the Jaguars on the road, the Steelers at home, lost to the Falcons on the road, beat the Saints at home, lost to the Panthers on the road, beat the Bucs at home, the Bengals on the road, the Cardinals at home. So not phenomenal, right? I mean, the Ravens are a good team. The Colts, The Falcons, The Panthers, really, So those losses that they've taken are not to, they're to some of the bottom of the barrel of the NFL this season. But then they go into Jacksonville and they win 37-17, and C.J. Stroud's first win in the NFL, and C.J. Stroud's, and the Houston Texans' first win of the season, and C.J. Stroud's first win in the NFL, first road win, first win in the division, first win over the Jaguars. He went 20 of 30, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 280 yards. Singletary and Dameon Pierce didn't do much. They combined to have 72 yards on the ground on 23 carries and 1 touchdown between them. Tank Dell went off like a mother. Tank Dell, covered him in college. He is a rookie, drafted in the 3rd round, pick 69. So at the top of the 3rd round in 2023, coming out of Houston, going to Houston, which is ironic. Nathaniel Tank Dell in the first game against Jacksonville as a rookie, 7 targets, 5 catches, 145 yards, and a touchdown. So, that's that's definitely something to look at and pay attention to for sure. So, Jacksonville, they've been up and down and around the corner. As much as Houston hasn't, Houston's losses are to teams that are really not that great. Jacksonville's losses are to the Niners, who are really good, the Chiefs, who are not as good as they used to be offensively, but they're still obviously a threat for at least now. And the Texans have been pretty good under C.J. Stroud. So Jacksonville's losses have been against some pretty darn good teams. And then you look at Jacksonville, they beat the Colts twice. The Colts are They beat the Falcons, which the Texans did not do, but they beat the Falcons overseas. They beat the Bills overseas. The Bills have been this year. They won at the Saints, and they won at the Steelers, and they just defeated the Titans, who are meh right now. So, yeah, you got these 2 teams trying to still figure out, here in Week 12, who these teams are. Still trying to figure out who are the Jaguars and who are the Texans, because they have had moments where they look good and they've had moments where they look like, what the heck's going on? So both of the teams have done that. I think Trevor Lawrence is worth the play in this. I think Travis Etienne is still an RB1 in this matchup. I would say, you got to put him out there. I think Trevor's still a QB1. Calvin Ridley, he's been used, not used, but Christian Kirk's been consistent. I think Christian Kirk is worth the play. I have him as a mid-range, low-range 1. I have Calvin Ridley as right behind Christian Kirk, but still I would argue him as a 1, even though it's been up and down. So I would look to him to put him out there. Tank Bigsby and Dearness Johnson are splitting time, so I'd probably stay away from that. And as far as Evan Engram, he's still getting utilized, and there's some trust between him and Trevor Lawrence from what I have seen firsthand being at the games. So I would say Evan Engram, I would have him as a low-end 1, high-end 2 at tight end this week. On the other side of it, I like C.J. Stroud. I have C.J. Stroud below Trevor Lawrence. I know that he got the win over Trevor Lawrence last time, but I'm going to put C.J. Stroud somewhere. I think they're both like mid-range 1s this week, and I'm going to have Trevor just slightly above CJ. And Devin Singletary, I mean, you could look at putting him out there. I think Tank Dell is someone to put out there for you as a wide receiver 2. I think Nico Collins is a wide receiver 3. I think Dalton Schultz is I'd probably put him a little bit above Evan Engram. So I'm going to put him as a tight end 1, and I got Evan as a tight end, lower end tight end 1, high end tight end 2. So I'll put Schultz a little bit above him in that respect as of this moment in time. But yeah, I mean, and people might say, why do you have C.J. Stroud below Trevor Lawrence if head to head C.J. Stroud had a better day? Well, because Trevor Lawrence, I don't understand why people dog Trevor Lawrence. They love him, they hate him, they love him again, they hate him again. I think Trev's got a lot. I mean, he's still got a lot out there to show, and he's just getting started in his career. And so is C.J. Stroud. I mean, C.J. Stroud's a rookie, for goodness sakes. So I think Trev is. I think he's a little bit of a step above. I think there's a lot of hype for C.J. Stroud, so I'm probably going to catch some flack for that. But I have them both as mid-range quarterback 1s. I would just play Trevor over C.J., but I definitely have CJ's value in this one. And that's because I think Jacksonville's defense is better than Houston's defense. So it's not really like a Trevor versus CJ. I think they're both QB1s in the mid-range this week. I just think Jacksonville's defense is better than Houston's defense if Jacksonville can show themselves. But if they do anything like they did at home, this game is going to get ugly for the Jacksonville Jaguars, which would be very unfortunate for a team that is trying to not only make the playoffs, but to make history. But Houston's trying to make the playoffs too, and this head-to-head is getting really exciting because the way it stands right now is that Jacksonville is first place at 7-3, Houston's second place at 6-4. If Houston wins this game, they'll both be 7-4, and Houston will own the tiebreaker, having a 2-0 record against Jacksonville. So it's imperative for Jacksonville to win this game because that prevents Houston from having a 2-0 head-to-head advantage. If Jacksonville wins, then it's split 1-1, and Jacksonville remains in first place. And Jacksonville would get to 8 wins, and Houston would be at 6, and they would create more separation. So Jacksonville's got to win this game for, with 2 big implications. They win, they get 8 wins, Houston gets 6. They win, and they take away that tiebreaker that Houston has over them. They lose, and Houston has the outright tiebreaker if anything were to happen toward the end of the season. And you want your season to be in your hands, not in somebody else's hands. You want to have control over your own destiny. So Jacksonville's got to win this game obviously you want to win every game you play in, but Jacksonville winning this game has massive implications that could really affect the next few weeks in the NFL. So they have to win it. Houston, they win this, they're in the driver's seat. Jacksonville wins, they stay in the driver's seat. And I think Jacksonville has less momentum than Houston has. So Jacksonville's got to make a statement here because Houston, if they take the division, they may not give it back. Cleveland at Denver. Looking at this one, AFC North versus AFC West. Cleveland is going to be playing with my guy that I covered in college, PJ Walker, backing up Dorian Thompson-Robinson. They've been going back and forth with these guys. So Dorian's set to start week 12. I like Jerome Ford in this game, but I still like him as a running back 3 because Denver has shown that they got some defense. So I got him as an RB3. Dorian Thompson, Amari Cooper's talented. I want to say the ball's going to go to him. David Njoku, going to your tight end and your running back as a backup. this could be, that's something that I see. Those are kind of your like safety blankets. So Njoku to me is a lower end tight end 1, but he raises up a little bit from the tight end 2 situation. Amari Cooper for me is still a high end wide receiver. I'm just going to relegate him to a 2 with what Dorian Thompson-Robinson can do. I think he's got the talent of a 1. I don't want to say what Dorian can do, their relationship. So he has the talent of a 1, but he's played with 3 different quarterbacks this year. So I think he's got the talent of a 1. I just don't want to tell you outright 1 with another quarterback change. So I'm going to put him as a low-end 1, high-end 2. I think that's fair to say. Javonte Williams on the other side is worth the play. Denver has been definitely catching fire. I had kind of put people on notice that this was happening. They're on a 4-game winning streak. They beat the Packers at home. They beat the Chiefs at home. They beat the Bills on the road. And they beat the Vikings at home. And they got the Browns at home and before they go on 3 road games. And so, I mean, they've definitely been able to take care of business at home. The Vikings are a pretty good team, even without Kirk Cousins and without Justin Jefferson, still a viable team. So 21-20 here, they get the victory. Javonte Williams, I still think he's worth the play. I got him as a running back 2. Cortland Sutton, I have him as a wide receiver 2. Judy, I have as a wide receiver 3. And I would say, this matchup, Cleveland is still a threat. Denver is a threat as well. I think that Denver can win this game, but I think there's more. No, I would say the fantasy value. There's fantasy value on both sides. I'd probably give maybe the slight edge to Denver in the fantasy value. But if you have any questions, like I said, just feel free to send those in. Next one up here, the Rams at the Cardinals. Let's take a look at the Rams at the Cardinals here. So Rams will do first, as we always do the away team first. So this is a divisional matchup. The Rams and the Cardinals, both from the NFC West. So we'll go to the Rams. Matty Stafford is back. I think Matt Stafford in this matchup against the Cardinals is worth the play. I have him as a QB1. Cooper Kupp and Puka. Well, this is the thing. I have Matty Stafford as a QB1, but he's got injuries to his top 2 receivers. Got a shoulder injury for Puka. Got an ankle injury for Cooper. God willing, they're both able to go. Watch it. If they are, then I got him as a QB1. If they're not, then I have him as probably a lower end 1, high end 2. But if Cooper and Puka are able to go, or one of them is able to go, that's something I look to. I don't like the rushing attack. So I think Matt Stafford's a QB1 mid-range, but he falls if Cooper Kupp and Puka are not out there, at least fantasy-wise. So you got to watch that. I don't see anything else worth telling you to put out there. For Arizona, I don't see anything for Arizona either. I mean, Arizona is underwhelming. They're not having a great season. They're helped by the fact that Carolina and Chicago are so awful. But, I mean, the Cardinals are 2-9, and they were on a 6-game losing streak. Then they beat the Falcons at home. Then they lost to the Texans on the road. So they were on a 6-game losing streak, and they've lost 7 of 8. Not good. Even with Kyler Murray. I mean, James Conner's done some things. It's hard to pick any of their receivers or tight ends if you want to put Conner out there as a wide receiver 3. But, I mean, he's playing LA. So I really don't like much of any. I might say that I said Carolina, Tennessee, this game might be the worst fantasy value if Cooper and Puka aren't able to go. If they are, then there's value. Arizona doesn't have much. Without Puka and Cooper, I don't have much on the Rams side. So just monitor that. But as of right now, I would say Cooper and Puka if they're both able to go. If not, then this game is probably the worst fantasy value of Week 12 of the 2023-24 season. Next game up here, I've told you for weeks that this Kansas City team has struggled to score points, and a lot of teams are keeping them by 20 or under 20. And Jacksonville could have beaten them. The Jets could have beaten them. There's, and I don't want to hear this, well, anybody could beat anybody. No. What I'm saying is Jacksonville was there, and Jacksonville made mistakes. It wasn't that Kansas City was playing great. The Jets got a defensive holding call, or else that game could have changed as well. So, and then the first time around with the Broncos looked like they were almost going to get them. And then 2 weeks later, they play them again, and they did get them. So it was like the Broncos said, hey, we know we can play with these guys. We just got to fix a couple of these mistakes. And then that's exactly, they came in 2 weeks later, and they were that team that almost beat you, and then they beat you again, which leads to my argument of, if they had to play the Jets twice this season, or they had to play the Jaguars twice this season, could Kansas City win those games? Because Jacksonville got better last year when they faced Kansas City in the regular season on the road, and then they faced them again in Kansas City in the playoffs. They were better against Kansas City. And remember, Jacksonville dropped an interception and fumbled the ball by the goal line. If those two things don't happen, then that's a different game. So, you definitely have to look to that. Kansas City, you got to play Patty Mahomes. You got to play Travis Kelce. The receivers, again, are all over the place. It's just by committee in Kansas City. That rhymes. That was fun. I didn't mean to do that. So, Isaiah Pacheco. Isaiah Pacheco, I would say running back 2, especially because it's the Raiders. Kelsey's a 1. Mahomes is a 1. Aiden O'Connell, I told you that guy was going to be an NFL quarterback. He's playing as a rookie out of Purdue for the Vegas Raiders after playing Syracuse last year, and people telling me Syracuse beating Purdue was not a quality win and it didn't mean anything. And I said, really? He's going to be an NFL quarterback. So, and he is right now. Josh Jacobs is worth the play. Devontae Adams, I would say, against Kansas City's defense. Their defense has been better this year. So, they definitely have talent on their defense, because I feel like they've had to lean more on that than on their offense and on the mistakes of others. But, Devontae Adams is, he's still worth putting out there. So I put Devontae Adams as a wide receiver 2. Low end 1, high end 2. Josh Jacobs as a 2. But there's value on both sides here. Definitely. Kansas City's wide receiver core, though, they are just, it's every year, it's just who's it going to be besides Travis Kelce. Buffalo at Philadelphia. Well, Philadelphia found a way to come back where they looked like they were dead. People were already writing on their tombstone. And as they're sketching in all the information about the time of death and the date and all of that, here goes the Philadelphia Eagles breaking out because their body is still very much alive. And they were buried alive. They come out of it. They knock over the tombstone and they run out of the gravesite because they did not lay over and die in this game. Kansas City was at home, and Kansas City had this rematch with Philadelphia. They beat them in the Super Bowl. They're trying to beat them again, and what ends up happening is that the Philadelphia Eagles never say die, and they found a way to come back and get the victory. They are 9-1 this season. They are on a 4-game winning streak. They've only lost one game. That was at the Jets, 20-14. Outside of that, they won at the Patriots, which is a whatever. Vikings, when they had Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson. They won at the Bucs, who are not a bad team. Beat the Commanders, who are not good. Beat the Rams on the road. That's all right. Going on the West Coast is tough, especially for an East Coast team. Beat the Dolphins, which was huge, and they beat the Dolphins by 14. That was at home. Beat the Commanders again. Beat the Cowboys in a close game, a 5-point game. Cowboys have been an enigma, and then they just beat the Chiefs, speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles. So, looking at Philly, DeAndre Swift has been awesome. Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, play them all. Just play them. They got Julio Jones now, by the way, too. But, yeah, I would definitely just put them all out there. They're playing Buffalo, and Buffalo has just been ew, They've just been ew lately. And I'm sorry, because I know there's a lot of Buffalo fans that, watch this show or are connected to me, and I have to be impartial. And that Buffalo's been ew. Buffalo started the season losing at the Jets when Aaron Rodgers went down in the first 5 minutes. They beat the Raiders, whatever. They won at the Commanders, whatever. They beat the Dolphins. That was good, 44, and that was 48-20. They lost to the Jaguars overseas. They beat the Giants, which, whatever. They lost to the Patriots at the Patriots. Patriots are awful this year. They beat the Bucs, which is, a quality win. Like I said, Philadelphia has as well. They beat the Bucs at home. And then they lost to the Bengals, which they've had trouble with the last couple of years. And they just lost to the Broncos, who are better than people give them credit for. But they did defeat the Jets. They blew the Jets out 32-6 the second time around, which eventually leads to the benching and sending to third string of Zach Wilson. So, Josh Allen, I mean, you got Philadelphia coming into town, or pardon me, Buffalo is going to Philly. So that is not good for Buffalo. So I don't know why I gave you Philly first. My apologies on that. I mean, Josh Allen, I got him as a lower-end QB1 because he's going to Philly. James Cook, I have him as a lower-end running back 2 because he's going to Philly. Stephon Diggs, I'm just not sold on this season. There's been a lot of issues there. I like Dalton Kincaid as a tight end 1. I like Gabe Davis as probably a wide receiver 2, especially in a deep league. So I do like Gabe Davis as a lower-end wide receiver 2. I got everybody kind of lower-end here this week because they're playing Philadelphia. I think Philly's got it. I think, Philly, that's the fantasy value in this one, and you're going to be in Philadelphia, so we'll see. Can the Bills show up in enemy territory in the, maybe the loudest of enemy territories? Jalen Hurts, DeAndre Swift, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, play them all. Dallas Goedert, his forearms got him out for week 12, so hopefully we'll see him back next week, and that'll be great to be able to see him play. So definitely excited for that. And we're going to take our final step aside here before we jump into Sunday and Monday Night Football here on Fantasy Football in Focus NFL Week 12 2023-24 season, and early happy Thanksgiving, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub on 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you every single day of the week. They are open Monday through Sunday, Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and on Sundays from 10 to 5. Make your way to GG Cards and Breaks today to have fantastic people helping you with the sports card hobby. If you've never collected before, it's the perfect place to start. And if you've collected for years, it's the perfect place to be as well. They're packs, they're single cards, they're graded cards, they're boxes. They're the only place that has every Major League Baseball, National Football League, and National Basketball Association box of teams. They have every team from the NBA, NFL, and MLB. You can go there, go to their back wall, pull out the box of your favorite team or favorite player, open it up, look through it, see what you can find, grab some awesome stuff. They have graded cards. Like I said, they have rookie patch autos, they have patch cards, they have autographs, they have numbered cards. They're anything from a card that's a couple bucks to cards that are, super expensive that are in one of their cases. So make sure that you go there, and I don't want to say super expensive, because it's relative. So, they have a card that could be hundreds of dollars, $1,000 to, the cards that could be $1 or $2. So make sure you get out there and see what you can get. I always love to grab some of their individual cards and then also get some packs or boxes because I love to see what I can get out of them. I pulled the downtown Kenny Pickett case hit rookie card at GG Cards and Breaks from one of their tins. They got plenty of tins in stock now, and people have been buying them up, so they keep buying those tins. They have really awesome stuff that's there for football, hockey, baseball, basketball, soccer, AEW, multi-sport, as well as Pokemon and Disney Lorcana. You can get it all at 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York, right off of Teal Ave. GG Cards and Breaks, the perfect place to grab a gift for your loved ones this Christmas and holiday season. So with that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we have Sunday and Monday Night Football to get to. So we're going to do exactly that. We're going to head to Sunday Night Football first. Baltimore at the Chargers. The Baltimore Ravens are red hot. And Lamar Jackson, I said, when he is on that team, they can beat arguably anybody. And with the Kansas City Chiefs struggling the way that they have offensively, this, I consider a Lamar Jackson-led Baltimore team a playoff team. I consider a Lamar-led, and think about it, Lamar for the last couple seasons hasn't been healthy come toward the end of the season, right? If we have a healthy Lamar Jackson toward the end of this season, this could be a team that could shock some people and make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, this is a team that's going to give anybody some grief. And, they're going to be playing the Jaguars on the road, the Niners on the road. They got the Dolphins at home. They got some really awesome games coming up. Sunday Night Football is going to be a great game to watch. And the Chargers are no chump either. I know the Chargers aren't having, this phenomenal season, but the Los Angeles Chargers are, a team, in my opinion, that, even though they're 4-6 and they're at the bottom of the AFC West, they still have talent on this team. And they lost to the Packers most recently. The Packers make no sense. When you think they're going to lose, they win. When you're like, okay, in the beginning of the season they're going to win, they lose. Herbert was 21-36, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was the leading running back on the team yardage-wise, 8 carries for 73 yards. Austin Eckler had 10 for 64, 6.4 yards a carry. Keenan Allen's getting the job done. My guy Donald Parham Jr. from the XFL, one of my top 4 guys from the last iteration of the XFL before The Rock came in. Love Donald Parham. Said a ton of great things about him. Told you about him a million times before we started to really see him. And so I'm happy that he's doing pretty well here. So that's good to see. Lamar Jackson's a 1. Gus Edwards is a must-play. Zay Flowers is a must-play. Isaiah Likely with Mark Andrews out. He's a guy that I picked up when Andrews has been out before, and he's not bad. So I'd have him in this game. I'm going to put Likely. I think it's likely he can either get you somewhere between 50 and 60 yards or a touchdown. So I would say he is a tight end 1 in this matchup. I do like him. I do think he gets utilized. I like Zay Flowers, and Rashad Bateman, I would say, is a flex guy. At this point, I'm not really trusting that. I do trust Zay. I trust Gus Edwards because I told you a million times over that Lamar Jackson likes him. And no matter where he is the beginning of the season, Lamar Jackson likes him. And then they don't make him the starter, Lamar Jackson likes him. Somebody gets hurt, Lamar Jackson likes him. I'm saying it over and over again to let you know. I've been telling you for 2 or 3 years now that Gus Edwards is the guy that he really likes to play with. And Keaton Mitchell is getting out there as well. So Keaton Mitchell, that could be a flex guy for you. Gus Edwards could be a running back 2 for you. And I think there's a ton worth the play. Lamar Jackson, Gus Edwards, Keaton Mitchell, Zay Flowers, and Isaiah Likely. On the other side, Justin Herbert, I have him as a lower end 1 this week. Austin Eckler, I have him as a wide receiver 1. But, he's playing Baltimore. Baltimore's a really good team. So I do have Eckler out there as a 1, though. I got Keenan Allen out there as a 1, and I got Donald Parham Jr. out there as probably a tight end 2, a low end 1, high end 2. Monday Night Football is going to take us to Chicago at Minnesota. We're going to end the week with another divisional matchup, and this is in the NFC North. Chicago and Minnesota. We'll start with Chicago. Hi, Chicago's just a mess, and I don't like it. I don't like the situation for the Chicago fans out there. I definitely feel bad for you Bears fans. My buddy Joel, one of them, and Chicago's they're a mess. They did give Detroit hell though, and again, what did I tell you? You look at the game and you say, okay, this team's definitely going to win. But what is it? It's a divisional matchup. They're rivals with history. So as bad as you might think Chicago is, what did they do? They lost by 5, less than a touchdown, to a darn good Detroit Lions team, and that was on the road. Chicago lost 31-26. So to just make a note of that. As far as who you should play in this one, I mean, Justin Fields, he's going to run the ball. He's going to do all that stuff, right? And he's playing Minnesota. So Justin Fields, I got him as a low-end 1, high-end 2 at quarterback because he can do those things, and he did them well against Detroit, so I can imagine he could do some things against Minnesota. DJ Moore, I have him as a wide receiver 2. Darnell Mooney, I got him as a wide receiver 4 right now. Cole Kmet, I have him as a low-end 1, high-end 2 at tight end. The best running back that they have is Justin Fields, so I don't have a running back to tell you about as far as somebody that I would play in fantasy. On the other side of it, for Minnesota, the Minnesota Vikings, led by Joshua Dobbs, mind you, folks. I'm a big fan of Josh Dobbs. They just lost by a point to Denver on the road, 21-20. But looking at the most recent game, Alexander Mattison, he's done okay. Ty Chandler's done okay. They're using them both. I like TJ Hawkinson. Josh Oliver's getting involved too. The 2 tight ends got really involved. So Dobbs doing that as he gets to know the team. Jordan Addison, I would say in this matchup, I like Jordan Addison as a low-end 2, high-end 3 at wide receiver. I'd probably put him as my flex. I like TJ Hawkinson as a tight end 1. And Alexander Mattison or Ty Chandler, those to me are running back 3s because I can't trust either one of them is going to be the guy. So those are my thoughts. Fantasy football in focus, proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. An early happy Thanksgiving because we're off for Thanksgiving. NFL Week 12, 2023-24 season. Make sure you follow us on all of our social media. So make sure you're connected with us, my fantasy fans and sports fans in general, and just wonderful supporters and viewers and listeners. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X, the former Twitter, at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Click subscribe to our YouTube channel here and show our YouTube channel some love. Hit the notification bell. Give us a like on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. You can also go and follow and subscribe to us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. As I mentioned, search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And of course, you're tuning in live with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. A big time thanks to our incredible partners that you heard from in both of our videos today in our live broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You heard from Carvel DeWitt, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, which I just found out some of my listeners and supporters went out to today. So shout out. And thank you for going to Ma and Pa's, and thank you for letting me know you did. I really do appreciate that. So shout out to Alan and the crew. The Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Breaks, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay. Chick-fil-A Cicero is now back open for you on 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero after they had a nice refurbishment. And refurbishment so early on, only 5 years old. Canine Camp, Dog Daycare, PB&J's Lunchbox, Avicoli's Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Mother's Cupboard, Great Lakes Honda City, Pizza Man, and where you can get my own drink, the Mic Drop. You can go to North Star Nutrition and Nutrition Wave, our 2 newest partners, and order awesome teas that taste fantastic. They're so cool. It's like having candy, but it's healthy for you. It's like you think it has a ton of sugar. It doesn't. It has vitamins. It has aloe. You can get it with metabolism booster and focus boosters in them. The teas taste extremely awesome, and they're healthy, and the shakes are something that you would take in place of a meal. So instead of having a meal, you take the shake instead, and the shakes are incredible. I mean, they're drinks that are absolutely fantastically tasting, and they're good for you. So normally when you're trying to lose weight and do this, that, and whatever with your health, you're having things that don't taste good to try and be healthy. Or you're not being healthy and having things that taste really sweet and they got a ton of calories. Well, if you go to North Star Nutrition or Nutrition Wave, you're getting awesome flavor and they're not bad for you. It's the marriage of 2 wonderful things that have been really hard to do in American society, but North Star Nutrition and Nutrition Wave do it so well. I've had their shakes, I've had their teas, and of course you can get my Mic Drop tea at North Star Nutrition on 628 South Main Street, North Syracuse, and at Nutrition Wave on 6197 State Route 31 in Cicero, New York. You can go to Mother's Cupboard and get my breakfast sandwich 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. daily. You can go and get the Cuse McMother, which is bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and have it with syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. And you can go to Carvel DeWitt and get my DT Dolphin. Wednesdays are Sunday. And what that means is every Wednesday is buy one, get one Sundays. So you can go to Carvel DeWitt any day of the week and get the DT Dolphin, mint chocolate chip, hot fudge, whipped cream, cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. The DT Dolphin is an ode to the Lemoyne Dolphins and my partnership with both Carvel and Lemoyne. And a shout out to Jay Cartini, the owner of Carvel, who is an alum of Lemoyne College. So go and get the DT Dolphin any day of the week, and you can get 2 DT Dolphins on Wednesdays for the price of 1. So I look forward to seeing you over there today on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. And speaking of the Dolphins, the Lemoyne College Dolphins are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You can find your Dolphins here with us on Dolphin Time every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, including today. And so you can find them here, AD and DT, with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, as well as the Dolphin Dive, diving into stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. And you can check all of that out by going to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and clicking subscribe. There is a Lemoyne Dolphins playlist there of our Lemoyne history with the wonderful teams, student athletes, coaches, administration, all the wonderful people there. And I thank them so very much. So make sure that you go and support Lemoyne at all of their games, all of their matches, all of their meets, and that you definitely go and take a look at it if you're a prospective student or student athlete, or if you're someone in administration or a teacher that would like a job and there's an availability. Lemoyne College is a great place to look at. So make sure you head over there and support and love and build up our community of Central and Upstate New York. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. As always, fins up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We bring you the Bobcat Buzz every single month with student athletes, coaches, and administration joining me throughout the year for a spotlight on Bryan and Stratton that they've never had before. Folks, men's and women's soccer at Bryan and Stratton just vied in the national tournament. The women were the #1 seed. The women played in the national championship game. They played in 3 straight national championship games. Before this season, the men's soccer team at Bryan and Stratton Syracuse played in 7 straight national championship games. Both of these teams have won national championships. The women's basketball team has played in the national tournament. The men's basketball team has played in the national tournament. And it's not like the NCAA tournament where there's 60-plus teams. This is a select few teams that get to go and represent from all across the nation. Bryan and Stratton has made it for men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball. Their baseball program started last season, and so we get to tell the story of an up-and-coming program, and esports is here. The Bobcats have a truly unique connection to the community. They have a unique connection to their student athletes, and their story is so incredible, from national champions to teams that are starting up here, growing and blossoming. Fantastic coaches, wonderful people, and just absolutely amazing student athletes from all over the world. Telling the story of the Bryan and Stratton Syracuse Bobcats is an absolute privilege to me, and you can catch them on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and you can get more information on how you can become a student athlete, as well as if you're looking at administration or whatever that may be and they have something open, head off and look up the Bobcats, and you can see them at syracuse.bscbobcats.com for the sports side of things. And of course, you can look up Bryan and Stratton Syracuse for more information on the school itself and all of the wonderful programs that they create. You're never too old to go to school, and Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse offers some awesome opportunities. So with that being said, I thank you so much Big shout out to Adam Zakowski and Justin Enzer of Lemoyne Swimming and Diving for our Dolphin Dive. Big time shout out to Trayvon Burke for an awesome conversation about Syracuse football's future and where we are and to not make the same mistakes. And a big time thanks to the Wildcat Sports Pub for fantasy football. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see you on Friday. And in the meantime, happy Thanksgiving. Be good to each other. Take pictures, take videos. You're not going to regret spending time with the people that you love, spending time with the animals you love. You're not going to regret that. So put your phone away unless you're taking a picture or a video of the ones that you love. Spend time together, watch movies, eat great food, have a beautiful time. Understand that God has given us all the gift of life. Do not waste that gift. Celebrate, be thankful every day, and a happy Thanksgiving to each and every single one of you. God bless. No